So I'm going to give you 3 topics, and I'll assess your speaking, and then I'll give you a little bit of feedback afterwards, okay?
Okay.
Right, so I'd like to start by asking you about your hometown. Where is your hometown?
My hometown is about 80 km from the capital of Vietnam, and well, it's up in the mountain pretty much, and it's also the main business there is making iron and steel.
Would you say your hometown is an interesting place?
Well, I would say so because there's many culture there. What I mean is that there's a lot of different type of work, but in agriculture also, as in making, how do I say that, just some type of, for example, iron and steel, and also just buildings, pretty much.
Are the people in your hometown friendly?
Ooh, I would say the old people is, but I'm not sure about the young generation. And because young generation this day are quite naughty, as you can see on the street.
Does your whole family live there?
You mean my whole big family or just my parents and?
Your whole family?
No, pretty much all my family is living there, but just 1 or 2 of my auntie are living in the south of Vietnam or in the hometown.
Do you plan to live there in the future?
Well, it depends because I'm going to England soon to study my bachelor. So I was thinking to do my master in England as well, and I'm not sure if I like to live in England. I'm probably just gonna stay there, trying to get my PR there.
Let's move on and talk about names.
Yeah.
Does your name have any special meaning?
Well, I didn't really ask my parents about what's the meaning of my name, but I would say that it represents how strong my spirit is. That's really what my name is.
How did you get your name?
Well, my dad just gave me that when I was at birth, and that's all I really know.
Would you ever change your name?
No, I wouldn't, because that's what my parents gave me, so I wouldn't even dare to change it.
In your country, are there any special problems if people want to change their name?
So far, I don't think so, because it's just a name, so it just depends on the person if they really want to change it or not. So.
And in your country, do you have any special traditions about naming children?
Well, from my own knowledge, my grandparents used to giving my aunties, uncles, and my dads not very good names, because what they thought was that good name will be bad luck, so that's why they never gave them good names. But instead of that, you know, something that is unusual to the modern style.
Okay, I'd like to move on and talk about holidays. What did you do for your last holiday?
Ooh, let me remember what I did. I actually traveled around New Zealand in my last holiday, and it took me about 2 weeks to do the full traveling at that time. And why I chose that is because I love it. I love the nature of New Zealand, and it's just too beautiful to just imagine.
When you have a holiday, do you prefer to do things alone or with other people?
I would never do things alone in my holiday. I would love to go to travel or do things with my friends, because what's the point of traveling or doing activities without your friends, you know? So yeah, that's why I would never do things alone in my holiday.
Who do you usually spend your holidays with?
Well, if I have a girlfriend, I would spend my time with my girlfriend, but if I normally go out with my mates, and especially boys, because girls would have so many problems when you go out with them, and I hate that.
Are holidays important to you?
Oh yes, definitely, because you know, students these days always like often lazy, so they would love to have even a short, like a week holiday or 2 weeks holiday. They would love to have it.
Do you have any plans to travel during your next holiday?
Definitely. I would, in my list, I already tick that I would go to the Philippines, Japan and China, and also around Vietnam as well, because it has been so long that I haven't been traveling around. So I want to, especially I want to go to the Philippines to see my best friend and attend his wedding.
What do you think is the difference between the types of holidays that people have nowadays and the holidays that people used to have in the past?
Well, from what I know, for students, it's getting shorter. Because before, in my time of a primary and secondary school student, we used to have 3 months, at least 3 months holiday, but in the next few years, as I know in Vietnam, they already changed it and they probably have only like a month and a half or 2. But the difference is that in New Zealand, every season we have 2 weeks off for the holidays, so I love it as well.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now let's look at some feedback for this trial test. We're going to be looking at the 4 criteria, which are fluency, grammar, vocabulary and pronunciation. So let's look at the first one, fluency. On the whole, he was very willing to speak at length and spoke with very little effort. There were some hesitations, but it did not affect the listener. He spoke at a good speed and didn't often repeat himself. Therefore, this is a very strong band score for fluency. Looking at grammar, we can see that he offered a big range of tenses in many of his answers, and he also offered complex sentence structures, which he linked together very well. However, we can hear some minor grammar errors, but these were only minor errors, so on the whole, he did very well for grammar. For vocabulary, he had a good range of common vocabulary, but also a lot of less common words, which of course are very important for any student aiming for a band score 7 or above. He showed an awareness of collocations. This means which words go together, for example, verbs and nouns, or for example, adjectives and nouns. He could also paraphrase very well, and he only had occasional mistakes. So on the whole, in this criteria also, he did very well. And lastly, pronunciation. He had good word pronunciation and also sound pronunciation. He also had very good intonation, and that means he could express himself with feeling in his answers. We could hear an accent, but it wasn't very important, and the listener wasn't affected by this. So in this criteria also, he did very well. After studying at IBEST, this student took his test and successfully got a 7.5 in speaking. Thank you for watching the trial test of Speaking Part 1. If you wish to book a trial test with us, please contact us. This is brought to you by IBEST English Centre, a centre that focuses on IELTS, English and TOEIC.